Hey, yo.
If I can be serious for a minute.
Oh, yeah. Acknowledge me.
What's happening, everybody? Episode number 91 of the Sit Down Mars podcast. 2/3 of us here today, just Primo and I, going to take over the pod here for you. Welcome, everybody, for joining. We're going to talk Survivor Series. We're going to talk Full Gear. We're going to talk Scott Hall heading into Nitro. Primo, how you feeling today, brother?
Pretty good, man. You believe that? We were just talking about the OGs, the two of us. That was episode 1. Today we're at episode 91. 90 episodes later, man. Oh, nine away from 100. It's
Here
around
we
the
are.
corner.
Yeah. It's creeping up fast. If you hadn't had a chance, man, go check out episode number 90. We just dropped it earlier in the week. It was our interview with Brooks Berna from Those Damn Coyotes. He's been seen at Iron Spirit Pro, Zawa Live, and all other promotions in the Midwest. Go check that out, man. He's got a big match this weekend. I'll be talking about Zawa coming up here very shortly. But welcome to the best kept secret in wrestling podcast. That's right. Primo and I are going to take you through the world of wrestling today. We want to thank everybody listening on all the podcast platforms, including Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, Google, all those, and including the guy I just actually was texting with last night, Thomas Bryce, who we always get played right before his show on SportsWire Online Radio every Friday and throughout the week. And continue to please tell a friend about the pod. If you know anyone that's into wrestling, tell them about us. And we just might be their flavor. You never know. But back to Thomas Bryce. Got to talk to him a little bit last night, man. And, just a great guy. He runs the show over there at SportsWire Online Radio. He's been with us. I'm not exactly sure what episode was it when we jumped on with him. It's pretty early.
It was towards the beginning. Let's see. If I had to do some quick little audio and video podcast and math here.
Yes.
We put our first 8 episodes out in May of 2021, and we got on SportsWire maybe a month later.
Yeah, so pretty early in the game. Thomas Bryce has been with us and still plays our pods each and every week, and we thank him so much. That's why I always like to remember him and mention his name towards the end of the show. That's why that comes through, because we like to thank the people that have been with us from day one, because as of not long ago, I am a humble guy. I like to be humble. I think being humble produces good vibes, good looks, good energy in this world. And I've always tried to be humble, on this podcast. But I want to brag on us here just a little bit because your boys here are pretty consistently now in the top 100 wrestling podcasts in the United States, man. So
that's pretty sick.
It's pretty exciting.
Yes. I mean, we can't thank all you guys for listening enough. We've hit the top 200 at this point in our podcasting career a few times, but to hit that top 100 is still a big deal to us. So we really do appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously there's tons and tons of wrestling podcasts out there. And we appreciate everybody that continues to listen to ours. It's humbling us that we're getting into that 100. It's doing nothing but motivating us to keep this thing going. Australia's still hanging in there with us, guys. Thank you guys so much for continuing to support the pod out there. And so just wanted to talk about that real quick before we got started here today, man. Shout outs to all the people downloading and subscribing. We really thank you guys so much, and we really do appreciate it.
And shout out too to the number one. That's right, Thomas Bryce.
Yep. Shout out to AJ too, not with us here today, but he will be back with us the week after Thanksgiving. So got a little vacation break here going on. So Primo and I are going to take you here through it, like I said, but. As always, no doubt about it, always Pop of the Pod kicks it off here, baby. Let's do this.
The old Jukity box back for another episode.
OGK.
It's like a mashup of like Adam Cole's ROH music, and they went into the kingdoms. Yeah,
It's my favorite iteration of the Kingdoms when Adam Cole was with all of them now. But
yeah.
they're back, man. Just when we think the Kingdom is disassembled, here they are once again. A banger of an entrance theme that they've had for quite a while now, right?
Oh, you know what? I didn't think about that.
Yeah, I mean,
OGK just now joined AEW,
yeah,
and Red Dragon left AEW, but Adam Cole's still there, baby.
sure,
So
yeah.
yeah.
That would be nice for us Ring of Honor guys,
things,
right?
things,
Yeah.
yeah, things.
Things that could happen. Things that could happen. All right. Welcome to the show, everybody. Once again, I am the Dirty Bird. That is my guy, Primo. It's time to talk about what we're going to talk about today. We got a lot to unpack here for us, so we're going to get to it, man. As we're going to talk about AEW Full Gear. We're going to make picks. We're going to talk about AEW Survivor Series cards. We're just going to talk about the card because this is one of the big four coming up here. So the Kurt Angle Trophy is going back on the line at Survivor Series. So we're going to be making picks to see if one of us can take it away from AJ. So we're going to be talking about that. Our dropkick discussion this week is the particular night of when Scott Hall walked on the show, whatever you want to call it, to WCW Monday Nitro. He is making the switch. He was jumping over to the other brand. This kick-started the Monday Night War.
The
So
first 2 hour in the Monday Night Nitro.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that, man, in the Dropkick discussion of the week. We're also going to talk about what we're sponsoring this weekend. Zawa Live's Season 11 finale is this Saturday in Dixon, Illinois. So we're going to be talking about that. And just to let you guys know, this is our last pod before we take a week off for Thanksgiving travels, preparations, time to get that stuff that we need, the booze and the weed to help us deal with those damn family members. You know what I'm saying?
Gobble, gobble. That's right. I mean, I'm already pre-gaming, man. I'm about to drive 20 hours to go visit all the family.
There we go.
Pre-game a couple days in advance.
That's right. So we're taking a little time off, to get the family needs in necessarily for the Thanksgiving holiday. So that's why we went ahead and dropped two for you this week to hopefully, to carry you along your ride to that dreaded family member that you might have to go to. So if you're picking up what I'm putting down, holla if you hear me. Let's talk wrestling, Primo. Let's go.
DB's got your hookup.
What up, Mr. Cage Tyler, sweetheart?
This is the wild child, Connor Hopkins.
This is Christian Rose. Yo, this is the most dope, CJ Esparza.
This is the Croc Rocket, Nickelback poppin', curls for all the girls, the Perminator, Sam Beal.
And you are listening to the Sit Down Marks podcast.
And you are listening to the Sit Down Marks podcast with DB, Primo, and AJ.
With Primo, DB, and AJ on the Sit Down Marks podcast.
And I am on the Sit Down Marks podcast, and we're going to get some perfection today,
baby. Sam Bill, somewhere that dude's sitting there listening to the new Nickelback album, like on repeat, right?
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, man, that new San Quentin song is pretty fire.
I was just going to say, he likes that. He's got that new San Quentin song on.
Yeah. That's like a ballad type banger.
People that say they don't like Nickelback are fucking liars.
They're listening to the car by themselves, aren't they?
Yeah, they're still listening to Nickelback. They just want to be cool. It's not cool to not like Nickelback. You're just being a dumb.
Right. Shout out shout out to everybody watching right now on YouTube. If you're watching inadvertently, me and Primo decided to represent our colleges today. We didn't call each other. We usually have wrestling apparel on, but today,
I know.
We decided to go college unis. He's got the Texas on.
If we meet in a bowl game, it could be these two teams.
It could. All right, let's kick it off here. So I'm going to talk about, Saturday, AJ and I are going to be down or up in Dixon, Illinois, should I say, for season 11 finale of Zawa. We've had a long-standing relationship with Zawa. This is the season 11 finale, so we're going to be there for this big card. And download and subscribe to our podcast, of course, but download the latest number 90 episode just came out with Brooks Berna, who is one of those damn coyotes. Awesome interview. And then we talk about the whole card. So I'm not really going to talk about the card, but I do want to talk about the main event though. I mean, there's a lot of speculation going on, a lot of talk. There's a lot of promos going back and forth. Hartenbauer, Havens, two guys that have been on the podcast here before. Hartenbauer's the over 1 year champion of Zawa. He's been virtually unstoppable, untouchable. Big arms, big paychecks. Hartenbauer is fucking ruled.
So I say, friend of the pod. I'm looking at a sticker right up here: Spears and Beers.
Yeah, we love that guy. But let's, we in the means of wrestling, we need to talk because Havens, he shit on and flipped and got rid of the happy guy gear.
I was about to say, you think since this heel turn that he's really just went up a notch, turned it up a gear?
Yeah. He smashed his coffee mug. Everybody basically to fuck off, which is awesome because he's great at it. But and they've had this little rivalry going. They have history going. Havens claims he gave Hartenbauer the spear, like that was his move, and gave it to him. And just there's a lot of intertwined stories and history right there to go with this. And when I sit back and look at it, it's I'm gonna make a pseudo pick here. Don't kill me, Hartenbauer. But it's hard to deny the guy that's hungry, that hasn't had the recognition, that that's want to be the Zawa champion for a while, against the guy that's been knocking down opponents left and right for a year, which Hartenbauer has. He's been dominating.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it just. I hope I'm wrong because I'm a Hartenbauer guy, but in storyline, in wrestling, it feels like it's Haven's time. So we'll see next week if I eat my words too. I'm interested to see what AJ thinks, but I don't think he'd pick against Hartenbauer.
All I can say is, as a former 3-time champion myself,
sure,
it doesn't last forever.
It doesn't.
Everyone, we all as champions, we always come to a day when we may be down on our game and we get bested by our opponent.
True.
But that just means you get to become a multi-time champion.
Yeah, and then you become the hungry. You become
That's right.
You become the hunter instead of the hunted.
Sometimes the chase is better than, having to defend it all the time whenever you sitting there over a year plus as champion,
right.
Well comfortable sitting in that, that champion chair.
Yeah. And the reason why I'm talking about this too is because we're sponsoring the main event, and I forgot to mention, I didn't even mention, well, this time anyway, this is a TLC match, dude. Like, fuck, this is going to be wild, dude. Like Berna said, like we're going to see a different side of these guys probably that we haven't seen before. So, yeah, it's going to be nuts, but I'm looking forward to getting down there. Ross Brooks Studio is a cool venue to watch wrestling at. It's like taking a wrestling ring and dropping it in the middle of like a hippie's living room from like the 70s, or maybe even 60s. But it's like the atmosphere. Like I'm all about the atmosphere in wrestling.
Imagine floral couches and smoke.
Sure. Yes, it has floral couches. Legit. Great venue, man. Like I fell in love with it though when we were there, I believe last April, something like that. But yeah. So it's going to be awesome, man. Look forward to getting down there Saturday. And also the Saturday after Thanksgiving, we're going to be at New Wave Pro in Terre Haute, Indiana. They're going to be hosting a vendor fair there. So we're going to be going there early at the vendor fair, giving away some free merch, meeting everybody, talking about the podcast. A lot of other podcasts are going to be there too, and a lot of other vendors. Top Rope Baking is going to be there. Look forward to hanging out with the girls, hopefully, and seeing them a good bit. So while we're down there, so that's going to be fun. And then they're putting on a show right after that. It's free, and it's a banger card too, man. It's like a big a lot of guys prominent in the Midwest independent wrestling scene are on this card, and it's free. They're really trying to get their name out there, so we want to help for having us there. It's New Wave Pro out of Terre Haute, Indiana. And their current champion is a guy we see a lot in Iron Spirit Pros, Mad Dog Connolly. So, so big card there. Looking forward to that. So we'll be talking about that whenever we come back after Thanksgiving. So let's talk about, Primo, what we're watching on TV right now, man, before we get to Survivor Series. Let's talk WWE, man, first. So it was pretty awesome to watch New Day and Usos, right?
Oh my God.
Fuck, right. It was
man.
awesome.
I don't even know if I wrote that down. No,
Sure.
I didn't. But I specifically remember texting you guys.
Yeah,
And they've always put on, as Brawlin' Brutes like to say, banger after banger after banger.
Mhm.
Well, Usos and New Day never fail to impress, and they always bring their A game. This was one of their best matches they've had.
Great.
They left it all out there. They made it really. They as the fans, they made us that championship reign record really seem important.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, when you say, we talk about, and we said this last pod too, like you think of like all the tag team rivalries, you know what I mean? Like New Day and Usos are right in there now. And, when you just talk chemistry between tag teams, I mean, this is it was beautiful. You know what I mean? That's just,
man.
It was awesome. You know what I mean?
I mean,
you're still hanging on every move, and it's great.
When we're, looking back, you think, what do we, looking back on my childhood, I have Hardys. The Hardys have Edge and Christian, and the Dudleys, as like their foils.
Sure.
New Day has always had the Usos, and vice versa.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Rock and Roll Express, Midnight Express from my day.
Yeah.
Road Warriors and the Russians, or Road Warriors and the Horsemen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, yeah. So the Usos, they broke New Day's streak as the longest tag team title reign. So as of Monday would have been the title where they would officially take over. And so today, officially, I believe it's 486 days.
Yeah, I saw that they officially got the reign now.
Yeah. So you think about like how long the Usos have had those, and then like how long Roman's had his. Like, good Lord, man, they really have been cruising for a while, haven't they? Like they've been whooping ass.
Yeah, I mean, you think about the one that gets me in. It actually, to me, honestly, the Usos doesn't seem like it's been that long, because I still remember it was like Jimmy came back from his injury.
Sure.
And then they had to talk Jimmy into joining the Bloodline. And then basically very shortly after that, they got the tag team championships. But that just doesn't seem like it was that long ago.
Right.
And then, but the Romans reign, no pun intended.
Yeah. Right.
Seems like he's had it forever now, which at this point, what, 2 years almost?
Yeah. Well, let's talk about that, because I got a stat for you. Roman's 803 days reign. It's the longest reign in 35 years.
Oh, that's over 2 years.
As of, according to Michael Cole. So.
In 35 years. I heard him say that.
Yeah,
Since
longest reign in
Bruno?
35 years.
Or Bob?
Probably, yeah. Backlund, it's got to be one of those guys that held it, like, forever, back in those days. But another thing too, I was want to mention about Usos, kind of what makes it feel a little more fresh with them when they unified the titles. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They just held the SmackDowns for a while, and then they end up collecting the Raws in the, when they did the unification. And so I kind of too, that's kind of what kind of like makes it feel almost like newer than it should be, or at that point, I guess. All right, so what about this fucking World Cup tournament, man? All right, so this is Fox saying we're going to show soccer, and we want y'all to promote this somehow. So they're gonna pop up this trophy that looks like the same one that Shane O'Mac won, except it's gold. When he
Yeah,
was the best in the world or whatever.
yeah. So yeah, exactly. So it is that same trophy, isn't it?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
thought so.
As far
Yeah,
as I remember,
it
yeah.
looks
Like
the
I didn't
same.
look
Yeah,
at it, but
it
yeah, I
does
didn't
look
Google
very similar. So my first take, because I'm an idiot and I didn't um realize that the World Cup is currently going on. I don't know.
it. It's
I'm
getting
not
ready to
much of
start
a
in like 5 days.
football fan.
Yeah, it's weird
But
because it's going to be in like the winter this year.
but I guess that is weird. I remember being in Austria in 2010, and whenever the US lost the World Cup, I was there in an Irish pub. It was a whole story behind that. But yeah, I remember that specifically. Anyway, back to my story. When I first saw that SmackDown was doing the World Cup, I didn't think of soccer. I was like, "Oh, is this like their answer to AEW's All Atlantic tournament?" That was my
Right,
thought. And then I
right.
realized shortly after, yeah, it was about soccer.
Yeah, so this must be a way of cross promoting, but whatever. There's going to throw a bunch of guys in there. So, what do you think about LA Knight and Bray Wyatt facing off? I don't know if I want to see LA get fed to Bray. I mean, that's what's going to happen here, right? Because
It's gonna happen.
I like LA. I don't want to see him get crushed yet.
Yeah. Let me talk to you.
Right there, you go. Thank you.
L.A. Knight, brother. Well, he's gonna end up probably getting fed to Bray Wyatt. That's what I'm seeing. That's what
Yeah,
everybody's saying in the dirt sheet. But
yeah.
honestly, I don't. I don't know. I just don't. I don't get it. That and I like both. Obviously, I love both of these characters and
Oh yeah,
wrestle
yeah,
all
yeah,
of them. I
yeah.
just I don't really see them as any type of Batman and Joker chemistry. Like I don't see them as like perfect enemies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Whose game is it? I mean, he's just a loudmouth, cocky son bitch,
Right.
and Ray is this split personality psycho right now,
Sure.
which is
Yeah.
awesome. I love, by the way, but
Right.
I don't know. I know eventually Ray's got to fight somebody, so I guess rip the band-aid off.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Survivor Series was big enough pay per view. I guess let's get him on. Unless it's the Monday after, they're going to let him wrestle. But were you surprised that Shotzi won that 6-pack challenge to face Ronda at Survivor Series?
No, but
Okay.
I am happy at what happened afterwards. I like how Rhonda and Shayna are like being bullies.
Sure. Yeah.
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 Like
I like it.
Rhonda's
I like
talking
it
to her
too.
and Shayna just like chokes her out.
Sure. Yeah. She goes to sleep. Well, oh, you want to tell her? Why don't you just tell yourself or like turn around, And,
Yeah, Shayna's like Rhonda's Diesel.
right. All right, let's talk about it. Let's talk about. I want to get your opinion because I want to talk to me about Austin Theory. What'd you think about Monday's Raw?
I literally said I like unhinged Austin Theory.
Yes,
It's in my notes. I like
yes,
unhinged Austin Theory. Yeah, I'm all about it, dude. I think
yeah,
that this guy, they obviously still see something in him. At one point, this is what made me think of this. When I was watching Monday Night Raw and
okay,
seeing Austin do this transformation into being unhinged, Triple H wasn't always the cerebral assassin. At one point, he was an aristocrat, Hunter Hearst Helmsley.
oh yeah, sure,
So he evolved into what we know today, and I think in the next few years, Austin Theory is going to be it.
yeah, yeah. I think so too, man. My notes were I thought the first promo was perfect. How he totally laid it out. This is exactly what he needed. I'm a total fan now. I think he's going to be a player because the kid still looks like $1 million. He's still a great wrestler. He just had to get this um, Yeah, it's kind of like almost like what happened to Drew McIntyre, an exception of getting released. Because he was the next. He was handpicked by Vince, the next big thing, and so we had to shake off at the
If
like chosen one
if he
thing.
gets into if he ends up in like a hardcore or a no DQ match at some point against somebody who's like a hardcore, known for a hardcore style, I'm like, he's would be taking the Randy Orton path.
Yeah.
Because Randy Orton was once upon a time that young buck
Mhm.
who was skyrocketed into the moon early
Sure.
and
sure.
was the youngest champion ever and all that jazz. And
Sure.
then, but his match that really turned him, his turning point, was that match with Cactus at Backlash. So, I know also too. I like the look. They had him grow out his beard. Austin
Mhm.
did, so he's not looking like such a baby.
Sure. Yep.
But I like it. I like it.
Yeah, I do too. And what a perfect way to get heat on him by letting him attack Seth at the end of the night. One of the biggest faces right now in WWE, and we went home with him standing over Seth and the crowd booing like shit. So I think it worked.
I wrote this down too about that specifically. Was the show started with Rollins talking about how important the U.S. Championship is, how it's obviously the A Championship on the show. That's how the show opened.
Right.
3 hours later, the show ends with Austin Theory holding that same championship.
Yep.
That's 3 hours of storytelling right there.
Sure. Yeah. I thought they did really well on this. I thought he said the perfect words to kind of shake off, the stigma of the briefcase. And hey, with Austin, I think we're off to the races, man. I think he's going to be a great heel. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. Honestly, I like what he said was the briefcase was an anchor, is what he said. Kind of like it was like a ball and chain attached to him,
Sure.
So, and he, like he said, with Roman being untouchable and shit. So, yeah, man.
So as of this pod coming out, they only really got 4 matches announced for Survivor Series: the men's War Games, the women's War Games, which is Bianca, Asuka, Alexa Bliss, Mia Yim, and somebody to be named later, versus Bailey, Dakota, Io Sky, Nikki Cross, and Rhea Ripley.
Watch it be Dana Brooke.
Yeah, probably, or something like that. Or, Sasha and Naomi got to come back at some point, man. So I'm thinking this might be a good time. And we're in Boston.
Ooh, Sasha's from there.
Yes.
Yeah. They like to do those.
Yes, she's probably been holding out. Most likely.
The fans kind of clamor for it because we know where the wrestlers are from. That's the weirdest thing. We're like, we have me and you like college football, so we know where our players are from and shit that when they go pro.
Yeah,
it's the same thing with how we are with wrestlers. Like we know what towns they're from and shit.
Yeah. So we're in Boston, man.
Yeah, I think that'd be pretty cool. Honestly, she'd get a big reaction. Obviously.
Yeah, definitely.
It's funny you mentioned Sasha. I just watched the Charlotte Broken Skull sessions today.
Oh yeah, I haven't got a chance to watch it. Is it worth watching?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, she talks about her marriage and all the honeymoon and stuff, and talks about what's yet to come, and she talks about her time as a personal trainer.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool.
I was like, listen. I was like, if she's not gonna name drop anybody, obviously.
Right. Yeah. She used to work out with my wife. So also, another spot that could be a spot for Naomi, and this could be a spot for Sasha Banks. Excuse me. If we're assuming, and we all know it's probably Ronda's going to beat Shotzi, for the women's title, and then maybe Sasha comes out, and we got a little face to face. That'd be pretty nuts.
That would be crazy.
Yeah, it would be crazy. I mean, but I don't know if that would be a bigger spot than being in a match with, women's Survivor Series War Games. Like she could come out like dead last and just erupt the place.
I think after the match, when whoever's standing tall
Yeah.
or whatever. That
Yeah.
those are always a bigger reaction than coming out as our surprise participant.
And then, yeah. And then also, last one I see they have listed right now is AJ and Finn.
Yep.
I mean, they got a nice little storyline going between these guys.
I thought this is where I was confused. Why are they not doing OC versus Judgment Day
Right.
and Inside War Games? Instead, they're doing a singles match and put Mia and Rhea in the opposing women's War Games match.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is interesting too. And on the graphic too, it's got AJ versus Finn, and it's got both of their factions in the background with them, like they're coming to the ring. But I don't know. But I mean, they'll put everything together, and coming up later, probably this week. So, you got anything else for WWE before I talk about NXT?
Yes. The only other thing was, you said before you talk about NXT?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So the only other things I had was, I did originally laugh when the crowd chanted, "This is stupid," that was stupid about the cash in.
Yes.
The crowd was not pulling any
stupid.
punches. They were like, "That was stupid."
Right.
And I like how Rollins is always so honest with the crowd. He's like, "Well, it wasn't my fucking idea. Like, it wasn't me, bro."
Right. Yeah.
I put that cut on Bobby Lashley's chest is gnarly.
Oh yeah. He took
Rhea, until I found out I put this before I found out she was in that War Games match, but I feel like Rhea has become such a boss.
Yes.
That she's on her own level. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even without a championship, she's still like beast.
Is she physically the biggest woman wrestler in WWE? I mean,
Yes,
Charlotte,
I would
maybe
say
close.
so.
She's probably bigger
No,
than
yeah, I
Charlotte.
would say she's bigger than Charlotte. Like, she's jacked.
Yeah.
The only other one is close is Lacey Evans.
Right. Yeah, she's pretty big too. But I mean,
Raquel
she's just
Gonzalez, but she's got her in height. Another thing I had was, I love Finn's new music, his new version of his music. It's his music, but it's like slowed down and like brooding. Yeah.
Yep.
And then the very last thing I had for Raw was Rollins versus Balor is a main event anytime, and it's great.
Yeah, it was, man. Yeah. And every time they wrestle now for my entire life, I'll always remember Finn being Universal Champ, getting hurt
For a
by
day.
the buckle bomb.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm like, this is like always, and they always seem to bring it up too.
They always bring it up.
Yeah. They have great chemistry too, though. Yeah, they're really, really good. So, just
it was
two
a freak
fucking pros,
accident,
man.
but yeah.
Pros, shit happens, right?
Yep. That's all I got for the main roster.
Cool. NXT, I just got a couple notes here. I thought Apollo and JD McDonough match was pretty cool, man.
Yes,
they really
I actually wrote
laid a
that
lot
down.
on the line here. It was good.
JD and Apollo with that standing Spanish fly.
Yes. That's always a winner on mine in your books.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah. Those are awesome, man. This was a great match back and forth. Like, I legit didn't know who was going to win.
Yeah, I'm surprised Apollo pulled it out, honestly.
Yeah. I think he's going to get a run.
They've been pushing JD so much.
Yeah.
But also, another team that I like that's going to be getting freaking, hopefully, a shot to the NXT moon is Indus Sheer, which is Veer and Sangha. That powerhouse team, dude, just let them wreck shop.
Yeah, right. Let's let them be big, mean, and nasty.
Yes.
Let them do like the Authors of Pain used to be.
Right. Yeah, I'm all for it. I like them, and I like that they're just big dudes that are just gonna go in there and destroy you.
Yeah, but it's a way better gimmick than what he was doing anyway.
It took him like 2 years to send Veer.
Right. They announced December the 10th a pay-per-view called Deadline. It's going to be sort of like a Gauntlet Survivor type match.
Deadline, the Iron Survivor. Yeah, the Iron Survivor Challenge.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sean came on and explained it, but I still didn't understand, but I'll get it later.
So if you remember back in like when ECW, when they brought ECW back, this is specifically one that I remember because that's when Matt Hardy won the ECW championship. Was they used to do the Superstar Shuffle, or it was like a 6-pack challenge or whatever the fuck they called it, where they would come out and the last one to score a pinfall when the timer ran out would be the winner.
Right.
So in this one, whoever has the most pinfalls at the end is the
Right.
winner. They come out in increments, but also if you get pinned, you got to go in the penalty box for 90 seconds. So during that 90 seconds, you're unable to try to attempt to score a pinfall.
Right. So you got to take a finisher, get pinned, and then go sit in the penalty box for 90 seconds and sell your ass off from the finisher.
Think about what you just did.
Get in there. Oh man.
Yep.
All right. Yeah, why not, right?
Yeah.
So I guess that'll be their little December paper.
And who better to announce that match than one of the greatest Iron Men ever, Shawn Michaels.
Yeah. Okay, so in the main event though, Mandy retained versus Alba Fire, but there's been a few stories out there that Mandy might have that she hurt her ankle and knee yesterday, and she's been seen at the end of the match. She was helped to the top of the ramp by one of the refs, and then he ran off so they could take the final shot of her holding up the title. But I hope she's not hurt, man.
She looked like she was walking a little gingerly there at the end.
She had like a Brie Bella tribute costume on last night. Did you see that kind of vibe from her?
Kind of.
Yeah, she's way better looking.
I agree. I don't mean that in any disrespect to Brie.
Oh no.
A very beautiful woman as well, but I'm just a blonde guy myself. But anyway,
I'm a blonde man.
You know what I'm saying?
Hello, lady. Bang bang.
So that's what I put down was the last one. That last woman standing match was actually really good. Yeah,
I dug it.
Yeah, all the way up to the interference by the UK person,
Isla Dawn.
Isla Dawn. That's right, Isla Dawn.
Yeah.
Yep. She's like the witch, the modern day witch.
Yep.
So I'd be honest. As much as I have said through the months that, I've dogged on Mandy a little bit about her believability in my book. I know you guys have been backing her for a while, but there comes a point where she's held it for so damn long now.
Mm-hmm.
Now she needs someone credible to take it off of her. That it can't just be anybody no more.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, like who's a I don't know, maybe a Nikita Lyons, maybe a I don't know.
I personally think
they
could do something with bringing maybe somebody from the main roster down and like having a rival faction. Like maybe because like people like Dana Brooke who just lost the 24/7 championship and that was retired, and that was like the only thing she's been doing for like a year.
Right. Yeah.
So maybe that's something that could revitalize her.
Sure. Yeah. That's all I got for NXT, man. You got anything else?
No, but I just thought just now that I bet it was super cool for Wesley and Carmelo to sit in the ring with Booker T. I know I'd be fucking freaking out because he's one of my favorites.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Their contract signing. Braun was all over this episode. He beat Braun Breaker. He beat Von Wagner, and then and then he comes out. Who was it? He comes out at the end, and I can't remember, but I was like, "Why are you coming out as the champion, showing your belt? It should be the challenger." When I can't remember who had just won, they were calling. Oh, Apollo.
It was Apollo because Apollo's been chasing him.
Yeah. So Braun came out. I was like, kind of like, but there should be some decent matches out of those two. They'll probably
One
wrestle at that
one
deadline.
random thing I did take note of was I just realized today when I watched NXT. I know it was last night, but I just realized that there's someone on every WWE show, SmackDown, Raw, and NXT, that use the spear as their finisher. We're
Oh
being
yeah, yeah.
Roman Reigns, Bobby Lashley, and Braun Breaker.
Popular one. It's pretty. Edge.
I mean, I've always liked it, but I also don't want it's one of those that you don't want it to be overused,
Right. Yeah, I know.
which it kind of is.
Sure. Yeah, it definitely is.
And some
And
people use it as a finisher, and some people just use it as a move.
yeah, Goldberg used it as a setup.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, he
for
would
the
spear him into
jackhammer.
jackhammer.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Roman does Superman punch into spear.
Right.
Bobby Lashley uses the spear as a finisher.
Right.
Braun uses the spear as a finisher. So it's like,
I know. It should be a little unprotected. Roman should be the only one doing it, really. You know what I
yeah,
mean? But
yeah.
I don't know if they cared that far into
Who
it.
had the best spear? I gotta say Goldberg had the best one.
Goldberg
Because
had it.
Goldberg would go horizontal, like it looked like a damn missile.
Yeah. He was doing a football tactic.
Yeah. And the gore was more like he would go down with him. Like he would, yeah, you
Straight
know what I mean?
down. Yeah. I don't know, man. I don't know. Edges was good. I'd have to
Edges is
go and
good
look at.
too.
I'd have to go looking into the
I like Edge's setup to the
spear
spear.
category. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to Impact, man. Let's talk a couple notes here. Say his name and he'll appear. I believe in Joe Hendry, the new
Yeah.
digital media champion.
He defeated Brian Myers.
Yep, finally took it off of him. It's funny shit, man. Masha's back too, man. That's good stuff. I hope she takes Jack Grace's belt from her finally. But yeah, I'm glad she's back. And then my only last note for Impact, not a whole lot happened. Kind of same, forward in stories, but Mickey James,
Hardcore country.
so she continues her, winning streak.
Last rodeo. Yep.
Yeah, if she wins, she stays wrestling. If not, she retires. But she wrestled Chelsea Green this time and beat her. And then the funny storyline was Chelsea just kind of like, well, she didn't quit, but she was like, Deonna Purrazzo finds her in the parking lot. She's like, Chelsea, what are you doing? She's like, I'm going home. She's like, why are you going home? She's like, I was supposed to meet Mickey James and I didn't. She's like, well, where are you going? She goes, I'm going home. So she's
Going
got
home.
her car, leaving. Like, all right,
Yeah.
well, she's upset.
I don't know why I'm saying we. I'm gonna mouse in my pocket. But I read that maybe she's going elsewhere.
Yeah,
That may have been her last match in Impact.
Yeah. If she goes back to WWE, let's bet that Matt Cardona is coming at some point too. There's been talk.
I already I saw this mock. It's totally fake. There's no way these things have ever been. Not gonna say ever, but like they're not gonna leak the damn Royal Rumble lineup. So anyway, I've seen a fake one coming out here lately, and it has Matt Cardona on the men's lineup, and I'm like, that one is believable. Like number one, he'd get a pop, but number two, that'd be kind of dope just to see him interacting with his old buds, as Matt Cardona, because Zack Ryder's dead. But the other name that I saw on this fake mock Royal Rumble lineup, me and you would lose our fucking shit. It was fucking Jay White.
Oh my God. Well, that you say that, like the two things that I've seen is that Hunter wants some New Japan guys in the Rumble, and I've even possibly heard like indie guys, but I've heard like like a death match guy, like a GCW guy,
GCW. Yeah,
like
well,
a you know
a couple weeks ago I told you guys that WWE and GCW were apparently in some kind of talk. So maybe this is what they were talking about. I don't
there
know.
you go. Yeah, it could be. Could be. Good stuff. You got anything else? We're gonna run to AEW. Just got a few notes to them too.
That's
Did
all
you
I got
see
for the dub and the Impact.
Did you see Saraya and Britt face off on the microphone? This is pretty good.
I did. And I said for the first time since Saraya entered AEW, I'm interested.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't know that I'll be interested when she's wrestling,
Right.
but yes.
You got me
They,
this time.
they
Yeah.
ripped each other, like literally
Yes.
just smashed. And
Yeah, and Saraya reminded us all who the hell she is on the mic.
right. Okay, so we talked Double J is back. Honestly, after watching it, another week, it's still kind of tastes the same to me, but I feel like he's gonna do the guitar gimmick. He has to, right? So, and I always fucking loved when he did the guitar. I love that shit. So
I don't see Jeff Jarrett, without the guitar gimmick anywhere.
Right.
So it's like,
right,
he's part of him, like the Honky Tonk Man.
yeah. And he took shots at WWE on the mic already. Well, he was talking about
Oh, he's talking about fucking
banana
monster.
nose.
He said, yeah, exactly. And he said, wearing your monsters wear skinny jeans.
Don't wear our monsters don't wear red skinny jeans and
Yeah.
being run by the banana nose circus or something like that. He said, like, yeah, like
Jesus.
he's trying to get one started, and for the most part, I think Triple H is kind of ignoring everything at the moment.
Triple H is probably like, I know you, dude. Like, stop it.
Right.
I had something.
I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say this little tournament that they got going on, I think might work
Yes.
out pretty good. They got some nice hitters in there, and winner gets a shot at Moxley or whoever the champion is, MJF, whoever. And yeah, I thought they've done pretty well with this lately.
I have two things about that. Number one, Kingston versus Ethan Page was good, obviously.
Absolutely. Mhm.
But secondly, just on a side note, you have to really trust a guy to let him hit you with the razors or the ego's edge from the top rope.
Yes, it's dangerous.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's not only like normally a razor's edge is already scary, but you're hitting him from the top turnbuckle. I'm just like, your life is in this man's hands right now.
I know, right?
And yeah. Another thing I had was, and this isn't about the tournament, but this is more about the tag team match with Swerve and Our Glory.
Mhm.
And it's not so much the match itself, it's about specifically Keith Lee. Just an little observation I've made, and maybe I'm completely wrong.
Okay.
Does Keith Lee seem like he just doesn't care? Like he just doesn't give a fuck? Like, I get the storyline that he's currently in where he's like not agreeing completely with Swerve Scott, but he just like his body language, his overall body language just seems like he just doesn't give a fuck. Like he's there to get it paid and then go home.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I was going to say my only gripe with him lately is I feel like he's just kind of been moving slow. Like it just, he's
doing the minimum to be there.
Yeah. So, it probably fits right in exactly the same thing that I'm seeing, and he does seems like he's really not into the storyline or whatever that they're doing right now. So, yeah, I kind of feel the same way, really, honestly.
Yeah. And I like him. I'm just
Right.
like, man, as a fan, like when you're at work, like when I'm at work and I can tell when somebody at my job is just like not in it today, or they just don't want to be here today. That's kind of like while watching him last Wednesday, I was just like, man, he just looks like he don't necessarily want to be at work today. He's just kind of there getting his paycheck.
Yeah.
Um,
No, I agree.
Something else, Tony Schiavone announced on Dynamite that in 2024, AEW is going to the UK.
Yeah, that's going to be cool. I think that's going to be big for them.
Yeah, especially with our UK friends that we've interviewed, like RPD and Rick Marcus, who've said that they're big fans of AEW, but obviously the time difference and limited channels and stuff. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah. I've talked to a few guys over there, and we've interviewed some British wrestlers, and they talk about how if they do watch AEW, they have to go out of their way to try to find it,
Yeah.
because it's not on live there anywhere. And
Yeah, I think
yeah,
that'll be
so
big for them.
yeah, I think it will be too. My last note for AEW before we make some picks here about Full Gear. Sammy Guevara, whether we hate him or not, man, him and Danielson have been putting on some good matches lately, dude. They've been good.
Yeah. Like I know Sammy has go away heat with AJ. I've always liked Sammy just because he's my type of wrestler.
Sure.
He's the kind of wrestler that I really like to enjoy watching.
Yeah, I mean the kid's got talent, no doubt.
Yeah. But yeah, I agree with you on that. My last thing for Dynamite was so Samoa Joe turned on Wardlow
Mhm.
and he hit him with the title.
Yep.
Except we didn't see it because the camera guy cut away.
Sure did, man. I'm glad you brought that up. I've cut. Yeah. Big botch there, man. Yeah. They clicked up to show Jared or somebody. Or
Yeah.
Again. Yeah.
And I was like, I could see it coming, like the Samoa Joe turn, and then I was like, the camera guy turns, and then I was like, dude, what the fuck are you doing?
That's back. Wardlow's laid out like it was like that first step. He's going to him, and then they turn away. Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah, somebody got yelled at there.
It reminded me of the AJ Styles debut. Whenever AJ Styles debuted, and they wouldn't stop looking at Roman's face.
Right, I know, right? All right, Primo, let's make some picks, man, for AEW Full Gear, man. Let's run through the card here real quick. We got Sting and Darby Allin versus Double J and Jay Lethal. Jeff can't lose right off the bat, can he? I'm going with Jay and Jeff here.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
I mean, Sting and Darby always win.
Sure.
But I agree with this.
Yeah. Unless, I could see Sting and Darby winning and then just a post-match beat down.
Sting and Jarrett.
Yeah.
TNA all over again.
So, Saraya, Britt Baker. Nothing on the line but bragging rights. I don't see Saraya losing in her first
exactly.
match.
Why would they let her, why would they make her lose?
Yeah. Britt's going to put her over. They'll keep storyline going, right?
Yeah.
All right, the one that we've seen a lot of different variations, Luchasaurus, Jungle Boy, this time in a steel cage. I'm going to go Jungle Boy here. He's got to start, getting back at these guys.
He hasn't won any of them yet, has he?
I don't think he has. That's why,
and you know what?
It doesn't feel like it.
I'm still inclined to pick Luchasaurus unless Christian's banned from ringside.
Right. Yeah, I haven't seen if he is or not, but AEW World Title Eliminator Tournament Finals. We got Ethan Page or Bandito, which they're going at it tonight, versus Lance Archer or Ricky Starks or Brian Cage. Winner to receive a title shot at Winner is Coming. I kind of like Ricky versus Ethan Page here with.
Oh yes, I'm happy you said that because I agree with that exact same final.
And I think I'd probably go Ricky here.
I go Ethan Page.
Because Ricky would work with either Moxley or MJF. You know what I mean?
I just feel like, I don't know, after watching Ethan Page this past Wednesday, I was like, man, you hadn't seen him in a while, really. And I was I feel like he's kind of getting a silent push right now.
But and the reason why I'm going Ricky is because I don't know. A lot of times I tend to look into promos a little too much, and Ricky was kind of like the y'all forgot about me kind of promo.
But I love Ricky, so it's like I'd love to pick him, but for some reason there's something about Ethan Page right now. I just feel like he's got that hidden rocket up his ass that I don't know that we don't see.
Sure. I mean, I wouldn't be mad at it for sure. I mean, I love him. I've said it on the pod a bunch. How about a fatal four-way for the ROH World Title? Chris Jericho's the champion versus Bryan Danielson
Two
versus
BCC members.
Claudio
We hadn't done that in a
Cesaro
while.
versus Sammy Guevara. I don't know. I'm gonna go with Claudio here. I think the title goes back on Claudio.
It
I don't know.
was
That's what I'm gonna do.
it was Danielson, Claudio, Guevara, and Jericho, right?
Then the champ. Yep.
It's not going to Sammy. We could give it. I'm gonna go with Brian.
Okay. Works too. How about Nyla Rose versus Jade Cargill for the AEW TBS title? Jade's been the champ for
It's
quite
time.
a while.
It's time.
41-0. You're saying it's time. Nyla's going to
Time.
take it.
Yep.
I mean, she's had the storyline with her for a while, stealing the belt.
Yep.
It kind of makes sense, man. I like
Yep.
it. I'm gonna stay with Jade though. Next up, the AEW World Tag Team title: Swerve in Our Glory versus the Acclaimed.
No, Acclaimed is retaining. Yeah, listen.
Scissor me, daddy.
That's right. They're so hot right now.
God, they are.
They've only had the belts for like a month.
How about AEW Interim Women's World Title match? Jamie Hayter versus Toni Storm. So Thunder's still the champ. Is that what we're doing here?
Yeah, she's still the champ.
Yeah. So, yeah, let's go, Jamie. It's time. Tony's title run's been a little lackluster.
You
Kind of
think?
quiet.
Do you think that? And this is like, think of Evolution, right? The faction Evolution.
Sure.
As soon as Randy Orton and Batista got world titles, what did Triple H do?
Right.
He fucked him over.
Right.
So, do you think Britt would allow Jamie to get that belt?
If her and Soraya's match is early in the card and this one's like right before the main event, it's probably a perfect time for it.
Yeah.
So yes, I think that could totally happen. I like how I kind of like that actually.
Yeah.
That'd probably a pretty good storyline, man. I like it. Yeah. It could be interesting. And then Tony would keep it, but
I'm not looking for a job, but I could do a side hustle for anybody that wants a writer.
And Jamie's been popular with the fans lately. Like she's just been getting over in town.
Fans have been calling for her to turn on Britt forever.
Yeah. All right, man. Let's Big Daddy. AEW World Title match is MJF taking the belt off of Moxley.
Yes.
Yes, I'm going. I think so too. Yep. And then Moxley can go on vacation now, right?
Yes, give him his damn vacation. Let him go fishing.
Yep. All right, so there it is. AEW Full Gear card. Currently, they got about 9 matches announced, I believe. It's actually this Saturday, November 19th, in Newark, New Jersey at the Prudential Center. So enjoy that on Saturday night. One of their big pay-per-views, so to speak. So that's going to do it for recap, Primo. Let's move on, man. Let's talk a little Scott Hall Nitro, coming to Nitro in the Dropkick discussion of the week.
Hey guys, this is Mr. Havens, the Argyle assassin himself, giving them all the shivers.
This is the one and only Mike Hartenbauer.
This is Space Jesus Billy Starks.
This is referee Dan Perch.
What's up, bozos? This is Trevor Outlaw. You can address me as yours rudely. And you're listening to the Sit Down Marks podcast.
You guys are listening to Sit Down Marks podcast.
You're listening to Sit Down Marks podcast.
Come celebrate pro wrestling right here on the Sit Down Marks podcast.
With DB, Primo, and AJ.
With DB, Primo, and AJ.
With Primo, DB, and AJ.
And you're listening to DB, Primo, AJ here on the Sit Down Marks podcast, the best podcast for professional wrestling.
Podcast for professional wrestling.
For professional wrestling. All right, I'm excited. Sorry, hang on. I'm blocking spammers like crazy in our YouTube chat right now.
That's all right.
trying to send us sexy women pics that we don't even know who they are.
That's right.
All right, so today I'm excited about this one, man, because everybody knows I'm a big Scott Hall, Razor Ramon fan. Well, today we're going to talk about when the wrestling landscape changed, when Scott Hall showed up on WCW Nitro May the 27th, 1996. Primo, what were you doing that night? Did you see this live? How old was Primo?
May 27th, 1996. So what I do with years, I just told my wife this, and
Sure.
she was fucking flabbergasted that this is how I calculate my age. I always take the last number, the year, and add 1. And if it was before July, I'm the same year, same age as the year. If it was after July, I'm +1. So in 96 of May, since I was born in July,
Sure.
I was 6 years old.
Okay. So you had no idea what was going on here.
Odds are I was rollerblading, getting shocked by electric fences, not watch. I mean, I definitely knew what wrestling was. I watched it. I just probably didn't watch this Nitro live.
Yeah. So, you've seen it by now. Everybody likes to talk about Scott Hall showing up on WCW. Now, we'll get to everything going on, with this, but let's talk about the match that was going on at the moment when Scott Hall came in on Nitro. Okay, so match was going on was a guy named Steve Dahl. He had had some nice little runs in some factions, I believe. Adam Dunn might have been his name, Steve Dunn, something like that. But he was wrestling against a guy being managed by Colonel Robert Parker. His name was the Mauler.
The Mauler.
But we know him as Mike Enos.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that was always kind of interesting. When Scott showed up, they just kind of stopped the match and left.
Yeah. They kind of backed into the corners and then just
left. Like, oh, Razor Ramon's here. What the fuck?
Like,
Let's
shit.
get out of here. We'll finish this up later. So the fans that were probably thinking, why are we watching this match anyway? Like what a dud. Anyhow.
Like,
no disrespect
thank
to Mauler.
God,
Right.
something else happened right now.
Yeah, I mean, no disrespect to the Mauler or Steve Dahl, but they weren't, very popular in '96 to hone a match. But anyway,
Right.
All right. So, and they probably totally made sense now. Why? Like, oh, okay, there's this crappy match out there for this to happen. So, all right. So let me give you, anybody out there just some quick little, meat about what had been going on. So Scott Hall had just been on a WWE house show about a month prior to this at MSG. It was when the famous curtain call had happened.
Curtain call, yep.
Scott had put in a 90-day notice. Now, this was the big deal, okay? This was pre-internet. So nobody, had videos that went instantly on social media. He put in an honest 90 days notice and was leaving the company. You probably could have read about it on some dirt sheets and stuff, but it probably would have been after the fact. That it happened before you got to read it, because that's just the way things worked back then. So, and then almost a week before he came out on Nitro, he had lost to Vader at In Your House, was actually the last pay-per-view that he had been at before. So he was doing his due diligence, putting over guys on his way out the door, doing his thing.
Yeah,
but
he wasn't burning any bridges. Yeah,
no. But back in those days, it looked like, he skipped over because he jumped over on Nitro. He still had the curly lock. He still talked like Razor. He still had the toothpick in his mouth. He was doing the same gimmick. So everybody's like, holy shit, he just left and went to WC. You know what I mean? So it was exciting. It confused people. It blurred lines.
Yeah, he was getting booed.
What was going on? He was getting booed. Yeah, because it was us and them back then. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It was either you were with WCW or you were with WWE.
WCW.
Right. Okay, so Scott Hall. So this match is going on. The Tony Schiavone and they start to see Scott Hall walking through the crowd. And then he jumps the rail and starts asking for a microphone, right? Okay, so he starts asking for a microphone. And, hilariously, says some or gets a microphone and like, oh, this like random wrestler, not random wrestler, but from WWE. So anyway, he gets a mic, so you obviously know that this thing's being worked up. But
Right.
Scott then he comes up, shows up, and says some historic words to kind of kick off the whole rivalry. And let's go back in time here real quick. If you hadn't ever heard what Scott Hall said when he showed up on Nitro, this is what he said when he grabbed the mic to kind of kick it all off.
I have no idea. Hey. Wait a minute. I can't believe what I'm seeing.
You people, you know who I am. But you don't know why I'm here.
Are we going to get security here?
Where is Billionaire Ted? Where is the Nacho Man? That punk can't even get in the building. Me, I go wherever I want, whenever I want.
Listen,
and where, oh where is Scheme Gene? 'Cause I got a scoop for you. When that Ken doll lookalike, when that weatherman wannabe comes out here later tonight, I got a challenge for him, for Billionaire Ted, for the Nacho Man, and for anybody else in WCW. Hey, you want to go to war? You want a war? You're going to get one.
Fantastic. What about the match?
It just is there. What about the match?
Yeah, because we care what happened between Steve Doll and the Mauler,
right,
Like,
Tony. Like he's like, but there's a fucking match going on, bro.
Yeah, Razor Ramon just showed up. All right, so he shows up, right, and you hear this, and he says, "But you don't understand what it means by war." A little bit later, he comes back and lets people know that there's more than just him that's coming. Right?
He tells them, "You get three of your best."
Right. He gets 3 of my best. But at this particular time, you're like, what does he mean by war? Like, is he coming over here representing WWF and telling us that it's going to be a war on WCW? And then, are we being worked here? Like, we just didn't know.
That's the thing. Yeah, like you mentioned in my notes here, was so he starts walking down the aisle during that middle of that match. The crowd immediately knows who he is in that vested Canadian tuxedo he had on. Oh, denim on denim. Totally 90s there. But everybody's like, oh shit, it's Razor.
Right.
Everybody thinks it's Razor because obviously, like you just said, we just saw him do the job to Vader.
Mm-hmm.
So this is 96. Internet wasn't in 96. The internet was not what it is today.
No, it was not.
People were not communicating on the internet like we do today.
No. I'd love to have the internet at 29 years old. I was 21 in 96, man. I love it.
So it's like, there wasn't none of, like you were saying, like how I read squared circle and all that shit. No. And there was still some realism to it. Like kayfabe was still, pretty real.
Sure. Definitely.
I think internet probably killed kayfabe, but
officially.
But no, you really thought that he was coming over from WWF to WCW,
right?
Yeah, so it's crazy. It's just a wild time because you're like, oh fuck, man, like what's going on? Like, how did he get in here in the building? They're just gonna let him walk in the ring.
Right.
This is a WWF guy, and he's inside of a WCW ring.
Yeah.
What about that Mahler match, by the way?
Yeah.
I was really invested in the Mahler match.
Right.
Um,
you imagine like how much? Let's just say we had Twitter back then. Let's just say we had the internet. If Scott Hall would have did something like that, it would have blown the roof off of like the internet. You know what I mean? In wrestling community, it just would have been totally, just a big fucking deal. I love his Nacho Man impressions. I
I
love
love that.
calling Bischoff a Ken
When he-
doll.
Ken doll, the Nacho Man.
The
And
Nacho Man.
and every time he talks about Sting, he's like, "Ooh,
Right? Yeah, he
Sting,
does the fingers.
Stinger."
Billionaire
And then
Ted.
Billionaire Ted.
Yeah.
Oh man, I loved it.
Yeah. So Nash came over 2 weeks later. Okay. So
Yep.
Nash came over 2 weeks later, and then the following week was the first week that WCW beat WWF in the ratings for the start of what would be 83 weeks in a row. And Hogan shows up after that. There's your third. And the NWO is formed, and we're off to the races. The Revolution is televised as the NWO dominated wrestling history during those times. Not only in wrestling ring, they dominated pop culture as well. Everybody wanted to be NWO. It was the cool thing to do. You know what I mean?
You know, the coolest thing ever in the world is, like, I love my older brother, obviously, because he's my older brother.
Mm-hmm.
But my grandparents happened to take him to Disney, and they were in Orlando, and they went to Universal too. My brother was there when Hogan came out and NWO happened.
Oh, dope.
Yeah, he just happened. They happened to be in Florida. Like, that's the coolest shit ever.
Yeah, it would have been cool to be there, like when Hogan turned heel. Like, it was a big fucking deal, man.
Yeah,
it's
that's
huge in the wrestling
historic.
world. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Like, it'd be like if Cena ever turned heel. You know what I mean? It's huge. But okay, so get back to it, Scott Hall. But this single move, what I always like to say, Scott never got enough credit, man, because this single move to WCW changed the landscape of wrestling. It changed how and what we knew of wrestling, and it helped create some of the best wrestling we've ever seen in WCW and WWE because it created competition, the Attitude Era, like just, everybody refers to it now as a lot of times the best era in wrestling, so I just think Scott deserves a lot more for, being the first guy to make the jump over there. Now, they got paid well, no doubt about it, to make the move. And then Kevin went too, and then Hogan. But this was huge in triggering a change in wrestling too. You know what I mean? Like that it's not just that one company up in the Northeast, or you know what I mean, or it's not just that one company down south. You know what I mean? And it spawned other things. It spawned Impact Wrestling. I mean, it was such a big part of the wrestling boom. They happen ever so often. With big, huge egos and celebrities and that kind of stuff. I mean, and big wrestling headliners, but it happens ever so often. But this was, just a place in time where one move of a guy going to another company, just sent wrestling into a just stratosphere of like everybody knew who NWO was. You know what I mean?
Right. I mean, the only other times it happened were like Rick Rude and Lex Luger before that, but it was like, what is it? Rude did the same night thing, and Lex Luger did like the next day thing.
Yep.
But they Scott coming over, like you mentioned, it was like the start of something else.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I mean, it was, and then so many people went over after that. Bret Hart, and I mean, the names go on. You know what I mean? That it was okay to go to another company, and there was competition there, and Yeah, it was crazy, man. So I was happy to talk about this today because obviously, you know, s- um, I like to talk about Scott whenever I can because I'm a big Razor fan.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And this was a big move, a big time, and a big moment. In wrestling. Although we go back and watch it, and it's kind of somber. I mean, you got these two guys going at it in the match, and he kind of walks in and gets a little bit of reaction, jumps in the ring on the mic, and it's like you can hear the shock. You know what I mean? Like I can always remember back to when, watching it 21 years old. Like, I mean, shit, dude. I was a month past being 21. So
Yep.
I was having a good time probably watching that show that night. Man. like, yeah, just being cool. So yeah, man, that was a awesome time in wrestling. It was cool to talk about Scott Hall showing up on Nitro, changed the landscape forever. Good stuff, man. So
Yeah, and what's funny too is I like how he comes out. So he comes out and he just makes fun of WCW the whole time.
right.
And so it really does make you feel like he's like still WWF. But also Tony is just like nonstop the whole time calling for security.
Right, he is. Yeah.
When he's not reminding us that we're still in the first hour of the first ever 2 hour of Nitro.
Right.
He's talking about security.
And then when the show goes off, Scott's telling everybody, that he's got 2 more coming. You get your best 3. I'm bringing my other 2, and we're going to bring our best 3. And the show goes off with Bischoff and Heenan kind of like confused. I'm confused. Remember, like, oh my God, like who could be the other 2? And I'm like, oh yeah,
I like that.
It was wild, man.
I like when he points behind Bischoff.
Yeah.
And Nash is right there.
Right. Yeah, Nash in the hat. Yeah. I was never a fan of Nash in the hat. He looks like Dad, like. All right. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. Next week, which will be the week after Thanksgiving when we come back, we're going to be talking about the old gobbledygooker. When the old gobbledygooker incident happens, why, where, all that good stuff, man. So we'll be talking about that next time we are back with AJ and Michael. So that's going to do it for the Dropkick discussion of the week. Primo, you want to plug a little merch for us there, brother? Brother?
I can do that.
Can do this. All right. Get you a little sippy of that Bud Lizzle.
So, for all of you that don't know, I'll tell you real quick.
Yeah,
we started cutting soap.
Yeah.
Started cutting soap. No, we do have merch, though. We have a website that you can go to and get an assortment of graphics that are related to the Sit Down Marks podcast. That is at www.tpublic.com/stores/sit down marks. That is www.tpublic.com/stores/STORES/SITDOWNMARKS. Go there and you can get yourself an assortment of graphic designs that you can put on clothing, whether it be a t-shirt, a face mask. You can put it on your journal, a coffee mug. I still got the coffee mug that I got for our Christmas design last year. I got a hoodie with one of our other designs. Like, come on, you can get so many things. You can get, of course, baby clothes, baby. So if that's what that's what you're into, like I said, once again, that website is www.tpublic.com/stores/sit-down-marks.
All right. Next time we come back, AJ segment will be back. King of the Mountain will return. Our game show will return too as well. Let's talk a little headlines here, Primo, before we go home, man. What you got? I heard some bad news about Kevin Owens.
That's actually literally my first headline.
Yeah. That's bad, man.
Here is the headlines, November 16th edition. How about that? November already, 2022. Yeah. That's today for all you marks out there. Back to the headline, Kevin Owens, I believe it was at a house show. Yep, at a house show. That's what my notes say. At a house show, he suffered an MCL sprain and could be out for, I don't know, like 6 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks, something like that, is what they projected currently. Which we already knew that the Sammy and Kevin angle was on hold anyway. But you don't want anybody to get hurt. That sucks.
Nah, he's my favorite wrestler too, man. I hate to see
Yeah,
him out.
he's awesome. And him and my older brother look alike. So
He might have
next
to step
up,
in. He might have to step in. No shit.
yeah, I'll tell my brother to go ahead and
Yeah,
do
cut sleeves
work.
off his shirt and get in there.
Just start kicking the ropes and screaming.
Work on his stunner.
Yeah. Via Fightful News, Jay Lethal says that he will be in AEW until the company either closes or they fire him.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Yeah.
Love me some Jay Lethal. Hope he is too.
How about this one? And I already know what AJ would say, but I can hear his voice right now talking about it. Logan Paul is now lobbying to face John Cena at WrestleMania.
Why not? Why not? That's what I say.
At this point, right?
Right.
At this point, it's just two celebrities.
Sure.
So,
yeah, those two celebrities, it's a perfect match. We don't need the storyline. They can.
No disrespect to Cena, but Logan Paul's had more matches this year than he has.
Sure. Cena better go over though. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, of course. Come on.
Don't be putting over the new guy to get a big win.
16-time champ Cena.
Right.
I still think he needs to come back to break that record.
WrestleMania Hollywood is going to attract a lot of people.
If you smell what they're cooking.
That's right.
PW Insider reports that Randy Orton was spotted in Birmingham, Alabama yesterday, which is where WWE wrestlers typically go to have surgeries done. I did later see that he actually did have surgery. I saw a picture of him and his wife. Orton has been out of action since May due to back issues. And on a side note, I'll be in Birmingham in 2 days' time, but I'm not there to have surgery, nor am I in the WWE.
Could you paint me a Birmingham?
I've thought about that song every time since I left my hotel. That's Tracy Lawrence for all y'all out
Making love just the way I plan.
People don't know about Tracy Lawrence these days.
I do. I love that guy.
And lastly, let's go back to your neck of the woods. Over the weekend at a house show in Peoria, Illinois, a woman threw her drink at Scarlett Bordeaux during a matchup with Karen Cross and Drew McIntyre. The woman and her family were promptly escorted out by security. Scarlett did clap back on her I don't remember where it was, but she did have a response, something about she's a native person from Chicago, and that
she's not surprised a person from Peoria did that or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, come on, dude. Don't be throwing your drinks on people.
Yeah. That's well, there's a lot of things legal in Illinois, so they might have gotten into a little something before they got in there.
Right.
Got a little too carried away. It's not like, grandma can't hit the wrestlers with the purse like they could back in the old days. And you can't throw no water or a drink on nobody for sure. Wow. Yeah, I heard about that too. Yeah, she clapped back at her. I think it was like on Twitter or something like that.
Yeah.
Said,
I just was like, what the fuck, man? Like, they're there to entertain you and you're throwing your drinks at them? Yeah. It's not that serious, bro. Like,
it's not.
That's rude as shit. You'll get your ass beat in the real world for that.
Oh, yes. For sure.
That is the final headline on my headlines. You got anything, Dirty?
I do, man. I got one thing. This is really cool, man. I'm really excited about this. Billy Starks, former guest on the pod, probably, she's wrestled all over everywhere as we talked about. Well, she's getting ready to wrestle somewhere else new, man. She's about to turn 18 and she's going to be wrestling for MLW. So pretty cool.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. She's getting a match with MLW. I don't know anything, but if you follow her on any kind of her socials.
Did she already go to Tokyo?
Been posting. I believe she's getting ready to go do that.
Yeah.
I think. Yep. But congrats to her, man. Really cool. And she's about to be 18, man, so she can basically go wrestle and do anything anywhere she wants. If you're Tony Khan or Triple H, you want this girl on one of your rosters.
Absolutely.
So I mean, it's
easily one of the most popular independent women wrestlers right now.
Yeah. And not to mention she's already been doing it for years. And
right.
It's put in the work and she's wrestled everybody. I mean, it's pretty wild. So congrats to her, man. Awesome to see that. And we'll be seeing her probably on one of our weekly shows here very, very soon. So, all right, I'm gonna be taking over the preview of next week. Primo, give me that soundbite, brother. Hit it.
So this is Brooks Berna representing those damn Coyotes, sitting here with the Sit Down Marks boys, DB, Primo, and AJ.
Heck yeah. Love me some Berna, man. Such a good dude. Episode number 90. Just talked to him. Go check it out. All right, so the next time we get to talk to you beautiful marks will be the week after Thanksgiving. As a reminder, next week we'll be off doing things not as fun as doing this. Nonetheless, we will return with AEW Full Gear and WWE Survivor Series reactions, including who won the Kurt Angle Trophy between Primo, myself, and AJ. So we're going to see who won that one. So tune in to find out what happens with that one. Our brother, Mago returns to hang out with us and discuss the gobbledygooper. I keep saying gooper. Gobbledygooker incident in the Dropkick discussion of the week. And I'm going to bring back Last Man Standing next week for the boys. I got a nice game on tap for a little wrestling trivia. And also, we're going to be talking about the Zawa show and New Wave Pro show and vendor fair that we'll be attending coming up this week. So, going to be a lot of good stuff going on. Have a great holiday, everyone. Thanks for listening. And a very special happy Thanksgiving to our friend Thomas Bryce. Be safe out there, everyone.
Absolutely.
Especially happy you, Kurt. If you're going to be traveling anywhere, be safe out there.
Yeah, because you'll have to travel via airfare or via postal mail to get back to Virginia. But happy Thanksgiving to everybody. It's gonna be the first ever time we've actually taken a week off. So it's gonna be different for us too. But I know you'll miss us. We'll miss you too. But everybody just go enjoy your families, enjoy your loved ones.
That's right. Absolutely.
Make sure that and this is a personal note from me. Make sure that if you have a friend out there that is lonely or something, or doesn't have a family, or doesn't have somebody to eat with, reach out to them. It might mean the world to them. Even if they turn you down, it still might mean the world to them if you just offered to them to maybe have dinner with you. So that's all I got to say on that. But happy Thanksgiving to everybody, and we'll see you next time.
Very well said. We'll see everybody in Dixon, Illinois this Saturday for Zawa Live. Thank you, Berna, for being on the pod earlier in the week. Keep spreading the good word of wrestling. Primo, take us home, Daddy.
I would if I could find this damn button.
Grab them, catch. Oh, what's that all you do? Grab them, catch. And listen, I don't care what it takes.
We'll take this little snippet of time to say we love you, AJ, and miss you, brother. See you soon.